Oh, when I'm speaking. All right, meeting called to order, 6:06 PM. And next agenda item is approval of minutes from February of 2022, since we didn't have a March meeting.
I did not read the minutes.
I was not in attendance, so I won't vote on it.
Okay. Were you?
No, I read them.
Oh,
I wasn't there, I did read them.
oh, well, maybe we, since no one was, well,
You were there.
I was there.
Regina was there.
okay.
How does that work in terms of?
You won't be able to approve them tonight, so that will be postponed till the next meeting.
All right. February minutes postponed till next month.
Okay, so just going forward, are we to print out our own packets then? They're not going to be at the meeting?
I don't know. I know Karen or Michelle were printing them for people. Is that not?
They're posted on your, you can go to the city website and just pull them, and they're emailed to you, so you really should, we're really trying to reduce paper.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Do you, and yeah, okay. Like I said, you can look at one of ours, or if you bring your a computer, or I don't know if you have one, but. Okay.
Or if, I'm sure we can request one agenda be printed out. Maybe. It's a question.
Yeah, we're trying not to do that. We're really trying to go paperless if at all possible. If there's absolutely you need it, then, reach out to us and we'll see what we can do. But we're trying to not print them and send them out in the email. Some point we'll probably get where we don't even send it to email, because you just go on our agenda and it's right there. And they're always posted 24 hours in advance.
Okay.
I forgot your name.
I'm Denise.
Denise Howell.
Yep, thank you.
City Administrator. And Nancy, I thought that you weren't working for the city anymore. Oh, no, that was Karen.
We're behind on things, so. All right, well, let's move on then. I don't see any public here. Nobody has any comments on non-agenda items, so we will move to old business. Aaliyah is going to go over the energy efficiency program.
Yeah, thanks. So, as a little bit of background, we have budget. We have $10,000 in our approved budget from the city to support an efficiency program this year. And at the beginning of the year, we heard from Brothers Development that they don't want to continue working with us for a variety of reasons. It was a friendly departure, but a departure nonetheless. And so in their absence, it's really hard to duplicate exactly what we had before, because they were doing a lot of work for us. They were pretty critical in administrating that program, and the program as it was pretty administratively heavy with verifying income levels and a whole bunch of stuff. So I did have a conversation with Howard Brooks at the Energy Resource Center to ask him if he was aware of any other organization that might be able to step in and fill Brothers' place, and he didn't know of anyone, but we did talk about some other ideas in terms of just trying to simplify the program so that we could still support residents in some fashion. And so that's partially the program that I'm bringing here today, which would be a prescriptive rebate program. So, what we've been doing in the past is kind of more of a whole building incentive program, right? Where Brothers went in, they did an assessment of a home, and they did quite a bit. They measured some things, they did an energy model in some cases, and said, okay, these are a series of recommendations, insulation, upgrades, et cetera. And that was great. It provided a lot of benefit to a couple of people. this type of program would spread that benefit out. It would be less benefit to any individual, but, more benefit to a greater number of people, and provide a single value rebate for purchasing a heat pump, replacement of your existing equipment with high efficiency equipment. Insulation is still in there. And if we align it with CSU's current program, I think it would be pretty simple for us to implement, because we could use their structure, their requirements, their eligibility, and essentially just, double their incentives or triple or quadruple, or we could pick and choose whichever incentives we want, but use their structure to be able to put together something pretty simply.
I don't understand, because right now,
Yeah, it's really hard. You gotta be super close to it.
I don't understand, because right now, a Manitou resident can apply to get those rebates.
So we'd give them more money.
Oh, Manitou would kick in money?
Yeah, exactly. So if they get, looking at, let me pull up the incentives. So like right now, they can get $200 for a heat pump water heater. We could give them another $200 or another $400. I mean, I'm thinking if we do this because we're going to be starting mid-year, and to encourage participation, maybe more than double them for the incentives we want to provide to make sure that we get participation in it. I did talk with somebody at CSU, and they shared the participation of Manitou Springs residents over the past couple of years. And, it's not a lot. It's not insignificant, but the hope would be that with advertising on our end, it would encourage more people to participate. I'm sure, I know a lot of people aren't aware of the rebates that are available through CSE. People just don't think about that when they buy a new thing, unless a contractor or somebody informs them of it. So education and marketing would be a piece of that. There would be, we would have to, I'm not sure what the process would be in terms of, I don't think there's any approval from council that would be needed, but I guess that's a question, because it's the same intent. It's just structuring it differently. I don't know.
I think you would have to go to council for approval, especially if you were going to put certain amounts on the rebates, which is different than what you had planned. So your work plan said brothers, and they were going to take it and then they manage it.
True.
You now are going to ask, I assume you're going to ask staff to manage this and to process the applications, verify that it was for their place and not somebody else's place. Is it a homeowner only? Is it renters and homeowners? Is it VRBOs? All of those things are items that you'll need to think about as you go forward with this. So that will take staff time, and we'll just have to figure out how we're going to manage that and how it would be run through. But I would say that I would recommend at least do a presentation to council so that they are aware of what and the rebates that you are considering.
So is the $10,000 the money that we have in our budget?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then once that's used, then that's it for Manitou
Right.
kicking in?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And some thoughts on how, so thoughts and some questions about staff engagement and participation. I think the less resource-intensive way to do it would be if we required somebody show us proof of incentive receipt from CSU, that would mean that CSU had already verified their eligibility. They had already gone through that process. They had already issued a check to them. That would be a really easy way for us to say, all right, we don't need to really do any eligibility verification.
Yeah, I think that's a good
A
idea.
middle ground, which I might suggest would be, well, I'll say, the benefit of it would be we might get more participation, is to accept an application to CSU. And so it wouldn't have gone through the eligibility verification at CSU at that time. But I know that when people take the time to submit an incentive application, doing it again a month and a half later after they've received a check is a lot harder for them. So that's the downside. Or rather, the upside of that option is that we might be able to help more people that way, because it is, applications are tedious, and if you do them all at once, it's one thing. If you have to do one after a month later after you've forgotten about it. Yeah.
Madam Chair, may I speak? Okay, thank you. With CSU, I don't know if you get a check, you get a credit on your bill. And that is something that we could maybe do here, is credit their water bill. So it does the credit on the bill, and we don't have to cut a check and process it, and it's for their thing. The other part to consider is, and that would be much easier, I'm going to say, than cutting a check and doing all of that.
Okay.
So something to consider in that way. The other part is, it just escaped me. It will come back. Thank you.
Oh, I like that idea. Would it be, so like one of the incentives is $1,000 incentive. Would it be okay to issue a credit that large on a bill?
Of course, we issue the credit and we go from there. That's for the, looks like the fuel utilization Energy Star. What is that?
It's for a heat pump, actually.
Oh, a heat pump. Okay. Yeah, we could always issue a credit, and then we just take the money out of your account and put it on their account accordingly. So that is something we'd have to work with finance. So before, that's the one thing, is we would need finance and planning to come together at a work session with you to really discuss this and how we could move forward. But that is a thought doing that. The other part that I would say is, one of the requirements would have to be, is that this would have to go through regional planning for every single thing, and they would have to show the permit, and it was approved by regional. Because we don't want to give money to a water heater that was not regionally permitted and inspected and approved.
So,
Go through CSU though?
yeah, I think, so some of these are for, there's a dryer, for example. So there are some of these, a smart thermostat, that wouldn't require a permit legally. That's something that we will check. That's a great question. Thank you. From my experience applying for CSU rebates a few years back, they did require, I think they did require that. Yeah. Yeah.
The other, I'm sorry, I keep interrupting.
I think with the water heater, especially if it's gas, it requires a master plumber as of January of last year sometime. So a master plumber is going to make sure that everything is in order. I don't know about an electric or an on-demand water heater, but that doesn't have the same risk.
I mean, a regional building requires a permit. As a homeowner, you can pull a homeowner permit and do that work yourself, but it still would be inspected and be, legally permitted.
The other thing that I would say that would be required is a property improvement permit through Manitou. So everything that you do has to have a property improvement permit, except for paint. Everything else, no matter what you do, even if it's a little gazebo, whatever it is, it's required to have a property improvement permit. So I would put that on the application, that that's required and must be approved before you could get a rebate.
Is that for a dryer too?
Yep.
Really?
It's really almost everything except for,
You know what?
yeah.
I wouldn't
Well, that's
apply
fair.
for Manitou then.
Well, the
I think
permits-
it's for
the
a dryer. I'd have to check that, but it's very,
It's
I
low.
did a little gazebo, right? And I had to get a property improvement permit, and they basically said anything but paint is required,
Yeah,
but I
I
don't.
can
think-
understand
that's-
that because it's a building,
Yeah.
but, you know, a dryer, or what are some of these, a refrigerator, water heater, furnace, electric dryer, thermostat?
Furnace and water heater, definitely property improvement permit. I agree, probably not a fridge and not a dryer, but I would check it. But a heater, because you have to go through regional and be inspected, and then also, what else, what other one did you say? I can't remember, but a couple of those would require, but probably not all of them, so good point.
Yeah, personally, I wouldn't apply for Manitou funds because it's too much of a hassle.
If you're working with a contractor, they do it for you. They'll apply for the permit, you don't, and it's, it's going to be, in my experience, applying for Manitou's permits, less than what the incentive that we would be offering for these things, so I think it would be worth it.
I'm replacing a thermostat for the heat in my bathroom floor. I'm not calling Manitou. So, I mean, couldn't we just have something that, if it's the kind of thing that requires a permit, then you do it? And not, because, I mean, some of these are like sprinkler heads. We don't have to.
Since I got caught on this, when I first moved here, I put in all low-flow toilets thinking I was going to get a rebate, and it doesn't go through CSU. So I did all the paperwork, and then they said, oh, no, water is Manitou, not CSU.
So that's a consideration, because CSU does not do water, is only to do your rebate on water items, because water is going to be a concern this year. So sprinkler systems, low-flow toilets, water heaters, those type of things, and only make it for water since they don't have a rebate program through there. That's a great point.
Yeah, I think we definitely should do those. We should definitely incentivize water. I would suggest we do energy as well, because I don't think we'll go through our budget with water measures. But I guess that brings up a good point, that this idea of using CSU's verification check would work for everything except for the water measures, because they wouldn't be applying to CSU for that.
Yes, Barb.
You know, it's nice to get the rebate, but if you're replacing a furnace or a water heater, it's going to cost a lot more than the rebates. So it's candy to get back. It's wonderful, but it's not going to make or break somebody entirely doing it. It's just incentivizing to do a better system.
Yeah, I mean, so we can also, I don't know, the $1,000 for a heat pump is pretty nice. This is a big trend nationally, electrification, shifting towards, from greenhouse gas intensive natural gas combustion appliances to electric heat pumps. CSU is shifting towards ultimately renewable energy, and so that electricity would be fueled ultimately by renewable energy, although not today. So there are much greater incentives in here for electric appliances versus gas appliances, and I think we should support that in Manitou as well. But we, to your point, Barb, we could also decide to, pick and choose a couple of these that we think are really important and up the incentive to make it really appetizing for some people. And then we wouldn't be touching as many people, but maybe we'd get more participation because we wouldn't have gotten it otherwise.
It all sounds good to me. I also think limiting it to water, which isn't otherwise supported, would be okay, because that ties in with not only reduced energy use, but also our hazard mitigation, fire stuff, all of that could be a part of that.
How
So,
do
it all sounds
low-income
good to
people
me.
fit into this? Because normally, isn't it more expensive to buy those type of appliances?
It depends. I mean, some of these are more expensive but they're going to save you energy, they're going to save you money on your
Yeah,
utility
but
bill.
low-income people are going to pay for what they could afford. So is there going to be any incentive to help low-income people to buy something like this? You know, I mean, if there's a water heater that I can get $1,000 back, but the water heater is $10,000, and there's another one that's used for $8,000, I'm going to get the $8,000 because that's all I can afford. But if we're serious about this, then I think that we need to fit in low-income people and figure out a way to help them.
Yeah, it's a great point, and I would love to be able to do that. I just don't, my concern is that trying to put something together this year, to use this money this year, that without the support of another agency that can do that type of income verification, that it's going to be a hard request on staff. And so we had that in our other program, and we shouldn't lose sight of that in future programs. But to be able to do something this year, I think given that it's April, if we can put something together that is, tenable to council and staff, then that's better than nothing.
Yeah, I think any other comments, Reggie? Regina? No, I think it's great, and it sounds like, so Denise, you were saying our first would be to speak with finance about the ability to even credit a water bill.
Yeah, you probably need to bring staff in on this, right? Talk to finance and how are we going to process it? What would it look like? And really talk about the process. So I don't know who would do that with your group, but somebody probably needs to meet and I can help coordinate it
Okay.
and just start the conversation.
Yeah,
of what that would look like.
I will meet with whoever is most appropriate.
Okay, we'll get in touch and then go
Thank
from
you.
there.
So that, then once we have that, then we would put something together again with numbers and then take it to council? Is that what
Well,
would be
you
the next?
probably need to do a motion in a second tonight that you want to proceed with this.
Okay,
And that you want Aaliyah to go ahead and start meeting with staff and then come back at the next meeting with a plan. And
okay.
then go from there. So at least, or give direction, you may not need to motion in second tonight, but at least give direction from all of you for Aaliyah to go work on this, come back next time with a fully vetted plan, and then do a motion in second. And then I would recommend at least a presentation to council.
In writing, a plan in writing.
Yeah, plan in writing, thank you.
Okay. So are you all ready to do a motion to approve Aaliyah to get this ball rolling with support of us? I mean, Aaliyah, what else what do you need from us?
Well, I do have one other thing I forgot to mention, which is small, is that I also have like a few hundred LED light bulbs in my garage that were gifted to the Housing Advisory Task Force back before the board was created. And we've given them away at various HAP events, et cetera. And honestly, I've kind of forgotten about them for the past couple of years. But the showerhead giveaway at people come here, right, City Hall, made me think, can we do the similar thing with LED bulbs? Can we have a stash of LED bulbs here and somebody comes in and is a resident and requests so many light bulbs? Could they receive those similar as they do the shower heads? I was going to count them again before this meeting, but it's a few hundred.
Yeah, let me talk to Alex on that because he's the one that's running the shower head. So I'm going to have to just see what, how many shower heads he has, how is he doing it? Because we verify that also, that they're a resident. They have to bring the old shower head back to make sure, we want to make sure that and I'm just mentioning this, we want to make sure that the light bulbs are recycled appropriately so you don't just throw them in the trash, which you're not supposed to do. So let me just talk to him and see what we can do, and then I'll bring that back, I guess, at the next meeting.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
Thanks. That was the only other thing I wanted to add.
Okay. Yeah, I think it sounds like a great use of money, and like you said, just another incentive for what they could already get, right, at CSU, and get some more with us. So yeah, I think it's awesome. So, all right, so now I guess just a motion to approve for Aaliyah and whoever else wants to assist her in moving forward on this project, this energy efficiency program project change. Anyone? Barb? And who gives a second?
I give a second.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion approved.
Thank you.
All right, excellent. Thank you. Okay. Moving on, I was planning, hoping that Abby would be here since she's our newest member, and I just wanted to have an opportunity for everyone to like re-review our strategic plan. Specifically, I don't have my computer in front of me, but that's okay. Maybe pages 19, some of the action items, and sort of see where we are. And I know with Denise had mentioned the new planning director won't start right until the end of this month. And then you were thinking she probably wouldn't join our meeting until probably the June time, or?
Yeah, so the planning director starts on Monday, the 25th. As soon as she comes in, one of the tasks that we will ask her to do is to recruit another planning 3 position, so a senior planner. And once we get that position filled, then we are fully staffed in the planning department. And I'm not sure who will be representing or who will be your staff liaison until Hannah gets brought on and decides how that works. Hopefully in May, she'll be able to at least be here for a little bit. We haven't talked about all the night meetings and those type of things and which ones she's taking and which ones Dylan will take and which one the senior planner will take. So you'll be assigned one staff liaison. I'm just not sure who it will be at this point.
Okay. And I know when we met, I think it was last month, or maybe it was just in talking, that the things like the ADU and the rental licensing should wait clearly until we have a planning staff, a regular planning staff member. Yeah, kind of put those things on hold, so. So I don't know if just looking at the action plan, it might sort of blend a little bit into item 2. I met with the code committee, and I tried to look on the city website to see if they had a specific committee or if it's just a group of people that are gathering to review the code. I couldn't find.
It's a group, it was in a council meeting, and they identified individuals that they've asked to be the working group for the code update.
Okay.
And I want to emphasize it's a code update. It's not a code rewrite. So we are not going after a rewrite or to add a lot of things. We're really updating it, and that's different. So I just want to clarify that, because a lot of people are saying code rewrite, code rewrite. That would take probably 2 to 3 years to do a total code rewrite. We are doing an update, which means we look at definitions, we look at certain things, but we aren't taking on a whole initiative of any part of the code at this point.
I have a question. What is it that we did last year around codes, around safety issues? I mean, we looked at egress and windows and,
Oh, the habitability.
yeah.
Yes.
And that was accepted. Yep.
All right, well, I know it's passed, but I wasn't sure what we called it. Okay, so it's different than this code situation.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
huge advancement, though.
Can I ask, I thought part of the code and the habitability that we were going to address ADUs because the code was being updated. And that's why we were pushing to get the ADUs included in that.
Yes.
So where is that?
That's where I think we're still in flux. We don't have, because it started with our first, well, I couldn't even go back further. Just with the various planning staff changes, I think things sort of have gotten moved around, or maybe, I don't know, slightly confused. I don't know
Allison.
if that's the right word, but.
I think that is the right word. There's
Okay.
been so many staff changes, and you guys did work with this consultant.
Yes.
You'll remember you had a meeting last year with the consultant that's doing the code update, right? And it was presented to council, but it was really outside of what the confines of the contract. I do believe you were somewhat unintentionally misled, and the can ended up being kicked, and just, you were encouraged to say, oh, it's going to be with code rewrite, but that was the wrong guidance.
Okay.
And I think it was just due to a lot of misunderstanding. So I don't know if that helps or not, but it was very unfortunate.
Yes.
So I know we've talked about ADUs and, it's Andy's passion, especially being a part of
Regina,
HAB.
could you get close to the mic?
Especially being a part of HAB. So where are we addressing ADUs?
I don't think it is. I mean, I met with this code update committee just to talk about, they were asking about some definitions, and I put the email in there just for transparency, so you knew when I followed up and gave them some definitions on affordability. And then we talked a little bit about some code things that would sort of improve. I found in one of our minutes, and I put the screenshot there of like a code kind of, because they were asking me, well, what are, I was telling them what it is that the HAB, what the HAB advisory, or what HAB is designed to do is to find, solutions for all to live in Manitou. And they asked some of the areas that maybe code could be updated to allow more housing solutions. So I did bring up the ADU with them, and I just said, I don't know how, like what exactly has to change to fit that. And they said they would sort of look into that, and then I just gave them some other examples. There was something in there about, was it water line? You guys
Yeah,
look.
there's a concern that, I'm sorry, I'm just interrupting.
You go ahead.
I would say that, Allison, what you said is exactly true, that until the new planning staff is in place, ADUs is probably not something that the HAB should take on.
Okay.
Because when it was presented by the consultant working on the code update, it was not well received by council. So it probably put ADUs behind the power curve, not where you need to be. So once the staff gets on, you've got a draft, you've got a good draft. It's just, I think, more marketing and packaging of it now, and education. That would be my opinion.
Okay.
I know that there are a couple council members who have a much better understanding of what ADUs are about, but I think there's a great deal of misunderstandings on council as what ADU is about. So until you get solid staff partnership with you guys, I think you're fighting an uphill and probably losing battle.
Yeah.
So.
And just to clarify, the code committee update, we're not going to miss that opportunity. Is there a timeline for the code update to be completed?
It has to be adopted by the end of August. That's whenever our grant is, so we'll be taking it to, the group is very close to finishing up the last little bit, then we'll do a public, we'll do a public meeting, and then we'll take it to council. I will say Andy Wells is your representative that's sitting on that. He hasn't been able to attend
Okay,
very many, but he is your affordable housing representative. And that's why the group reached out to you
okay,
to get different perspectives. I do know that they reached out to Slida and some others that you recommended.
okay,
One of the things that they are looking at is more just infill and capacity. So, and that's a conversation also. Instead of one per so many square feet, can we do more clustering? And that would make a difference too. So they're looking at some smaller things, but they can't do ADUs with this.
okay.
I thought from my last meeting and also reading the notes that Andy was backing off of ADUs, feeling, not that he doesn't care about it, but he didn't think we could get much done. And he was looking at backing up and doing more education and the marketing that Nancy talked about.
Yes,
So
and I think,
I don't know where that fits in everything, but it seemed like ADUs right now with council are DOA.
yeah. And I think that's the piece, is that it was ill presented, and then just with the changes in the staff, it's just sort of gotten, I don't know, like she said, kicked down the road. So I think it is, we just need to like table it until we have a planning staff.
And I agree with everything that's been said, and I think we realize that it's going to take quite a bit of effort and resources as well, and so we need to, Nancy has given us some good advice about this, to be strategic in this process and really determine and understand what our approach is going to be. And so I think that's also, we don't have a staff liaison, we don't have that plan in place, we don't have somebody that's stepping up to say, I want to lead this,
Yes.
pretty robust effort.
Agree. Okay. So that, and I get even the rental licensing, I just felt like that needed to just get tabled until we have an actual planning staff representative. But is there anything that is on our strategic plan besides, energy efficiency that we'd want to focus on, or we just use this time to really focus on that energy efficient proposal that Aaliyah put forward? Any
Well, I
thoughts?
remember when Corinne was on the board, and the last time we looked at this, that we were doing, she was saying that we were doing really good on our strategic plan. That we really did address, like, as far as the properties, we found out that there really aren't any properties in evaluating that, so that was kind of completed. Data collection. I don't know who was in charge of data collection, if we gave that to somebody or not.
I think we've done, there's a lot of things we've done. There's also, there's a lot of kind of big picture things that we have, since we began, we've realized how challenging they are to do, like actually get some new development and manage, like work with partners to, redevelop Cheyenne Village and, stuff like that, which we need to have. We need to have those big picture vision ideas, but gosh, it's hard.
Yeah.
And some of this, like, we did do 5E. We did do the habitability housing and recommended minimum standard. Where can we go back to that? Where is that sitting? So it was approved. So is there a staff then that has been chosen, that if there is a renter who wants to address, and do renters know that we have this program or ordinance?
You mean just the general habitability standards?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah, education on that? That's a
Yeah,
good idea.
yeah.
that
Like,
could
how
be
are they
something we
supposed to
could
know?
also focus on, yeah.
I will say we do have a staff member, Cindy, it does it, and all, but VRBOs, et cetera, have to be site visit. So, and then we have had a couple of complaints, and she manages that. So our neighborhood services goes out and looks at those and for the complaints. So I can tell you, some people are aware of it because we've had a couple and we've managed those accordingly.
Good.
Yeah, but that's a good, we did put a lot of work into that. Maybe that is something we,
Should write an
add.
article about that.
yeah. We should write an article about that.
Should.
We can work on that. Again, just thinking of little things that we could work on now while we're holding off. And I feel like the rental licensing, I know Abby wanted to be for sure part of that discussion, but it's aligns so much with just the general habitability. And then again, we're already requiring standards for our vacation rentals, so why do we not have them for our residents, So, but again, that, we'll just wait on that one until we have a planning staff. Does that make sense?
I wonder if when we, I think ultimately with the energy efficiency program, we're talking about, sending out mailers, and ultimately we'll want to do the same thing once we get that figured out. And I wonder if we could use that opportunity to also send out something about the habitability standards, and because just thinking, a lot of people don't read the paper, and
Yes.
perhaps a lot of the community that we would want to try and reach might not all read the paper.
Yeah.
I don't know, just a thought.
No, I think that's a great idea. Use the mailer for both those items. Because it's, from what I understand, it's if people do have a issue, whether we have a rental licensing or not, they just reach out on the website. It's just the city website or the code person.
Yeah, they usually contact us directly. They contact Cindy directly. They
Okay.
can do, and Nancy mentioned this, they can do See-Click Fix and others. There are certain things we have to be cautious of because sometimes it's a civil case. And so there are certain things that, and we've had a couple of those that we can't interfere with. And there's other things that we can per the code. So, we work on that according to the law and what we can and cannot do and manage accordingly.
Good. Anyone see anything else that we feel like is an easy, an easy win on there? I mean, I know, like I said, there were some code things, but I think we need to wait. Some things about the URA conversations, but I think it continues, right?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
A couple of things regarding sending that out with the energy efficiency is a great idea. That will cost, we'll have to look at the cost of that, and then that would be part of your energy efficiency program, which would be not, and Alex can help with that and make sure and get our printing done from a reduction, a place that we do all of our printing, so we can definitely help in that area. The other thing is I think the article in the paper would be great. I would ask that when we do that before we put it in, that we have Cindy look at it, because it could be a pretty big influx, right, all of a sudden. Hopefully not, because I think most people are managing accordingly. but for her to know that it's coming and that she's read it and realizes the concerns and stuff, I think that would be great to allow her to read it. We can also do a post on our Facebook, and say something. And then even the front page of our website, I could talk to Alex and say, can we have it there for a little bit and go from there? Not full-time, but we could post it for a while and do some things like that. So if you guys come up with some plans, I can definitely support. We just need you to come up with the plan and the communication plan.
Okay, great. And I know Aaliyah said some
One
person
of-
she knows. No,
One of the
joking.
things that we did a while ago was use the water bill, that card, as a mailer. We did that, I think, with the survey, because everybody gets the water bill.
Oh, yeah.
And on the back of it, so it's something that we could, I mean, you can't put an article on there, but, when you get to a place where we want to talk about the energy program,
Yeah.
it's something that we could put on there, hey, look for this, or, did
Yeah.
you know that Manitou, things like that.
And that just comes through the city, that,
Yeah, that just comes through. There's a couple quick things. Anything that you post or do has to get approval through Alex. So I do want to mention that. And he can't usually turn it around in 24 hours, so you got to give us some time so that we can get through it. The water bill is a great idea. Not everybody gets it. Some people just have it come electronically. So I will tell you, not everyone gets it, but the majority does. So that's a great way to do it. We only have a very small amount of space. So we'd have to, Alex has to look at it. We have to also make sure it goes through the mail correctly. All of that. We have to get it all approved. But once you come up with a plan, then we can have you whomever work with Alex and start doing it. But he does need to approve everything that goes out.
okay. So even if we're working on it, yeah. And I'm sure that's what you did last time.
Well,
You
Alex
worked
wasn't
on it.
around last
Okay.
time. It was viewed, it was printed by the city, so
Okay.
it was reviewed by the city, but we didn't have an official communication
Okay.
staff member.
Good. All right. And then I believe we have budget, don't we,
We have a separate budget for communication. That's what we
Okay.
used last time outside of that $10,000.
good.
Or for marketing.
All right. So I don't know if anyone had any other questions about the strategic plan. I didn't intend for it to be a super long review, but just a chance, again, to check in with the work that we've done. And I know I've been trying to go through all the minutes. I don't know, is there a way that I can combine them all? It's hard to it's not hard. It's timely to open up every agenda, but I've actually been, and I've sort of been placeholding ones that talk about ADU and rental licensing with some good information, some conversations we've had with even members that are no longer part of the HAB that I think will be helpful. So somehow I'll put them together and we can quickly review them. Yeah. So we're pretty fortunate with our note-taking. We take, at least prior, we took really detailed notes. So I don't know, I was looking at, just to get examples from others, I was like, we're pretty detailed, we do it. I don't know if someone just trained us that way, but.
I'd add that Corinne wrote a lot of the old notes. She had some program on her phone where she was recording it. And then that's why she put a lot of detail, which is way more than a normal note taker would do.
Okay, so that was, so I'll just work on that, but, so I guess just to wrap that up, we think, and I agree, Regina, we've done a lot, and some of the things are just bigger areas that we may need to refocus on, but if we work on the habitability, get an article, connect with Cindy, and I can work on that and reach out to her and ask for assistance from people. And then I think that was all. Is that all we talked about? Yes. Sound good?
Great.
Okay. Okay, and then like I said, I just met with that committee, and I put the email in there, just again for transparency, so you guys know. And it really wasn't a big deal, but they had asked about what's our definition of affordable, and I just said it's, from what I believe, it's how it's defined in the federal government around the 50%, below 50% AMI, but I put like a chart in there that sort of shows like, you know, extremely low income and all the way up to, I think, 80% maybe AMI, so.
And another key metric is the 30%. So if you're spending more than 30, gosh, I think it's 30%.
Yep.
30% of your income on housing-related expenses, then that's considered unaffordable. So, you know, that tracks with your income, with your cost of housing, et cetera. Includes utility bills, you know, water bills, all the costs of housing.
Yeah, and I think in our strategic plan, we reference that there's a significant number, again, I say significant, of
Right.
people that are cost burden in our community. So I think it was one of the first maybe charts that sort of said, because we talk about reducing that burden. Yep.
Yeah.
What does it say, Leah?
43% of renters and 27% of homeowners.
Okay.
Our
And that was
cost burden.
2017 data, right? I think, data?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure it's
Yeah.
gone way up. So, all right, well, moving along here, let's see. So our May meeting, you're saying, Denise, the new planning director may just come and just say hello, but likely she wouldn't be here, or should we, you know, do something else for that meeting?
I would say she'll at least come by. I don't know, right? I
Okay.
don't want to make a commitment that I cannot keep.
Yes.
So I want to make sure, maybe she already has a plan that night. I don't know. So
Okay.
I will tell you if she's available, we'll definitely have her come by and then we'll go from there.
And for you,
Would that be on the 18th?
yes.
I will not be here.
Okay. Well, that's what I was going to ask everyone if they had any conflicts. And I know Denise has agreed, and I asked if she would please come tonight so that we could make sure we put the motion.
Thank you, Denise.
But I also want to, you know, honor people's time. And I think, you know, we could be working on some of these things without actually officially meeting. If you all think, or Aaliyah, do you feel like we would need to meet?
Well, I guess, are we going to need to vote on something related to the energy efficiency program before we take it before council? And Denise is nodding her head yes.
Yeah. And do you feel like by next month you'll have?
I feel like we need to have it by next month
Okay.
to move everything along. So
Okay.
I will commit to pulling together what I need to so that we can bring that forth next month and then try and get it on council's schedule.
Okay. And that can just be our main, again, we don't need, I looked at the agendas, we're all, you know, we always have a whole bunch of things. I mean, that can just be the focus of that meeting
Yeah,
is,
could be short.
yeah, going through that.
We can't do that through email?
Or we could do it on Zoom. We could do a Zoom meeting. I mean, if that's.
You can't do it through email. That's the sunshine law.
Yeah.
So
okay.
you have to do it in person and, or Zoom, whatever that may be. But yeah, you cannot do it via email.
But if you have something in writing, like I won't be able to be there, but if I might be able to get an email and kind of read it and then send a comment back to somebody who would be here, I don't know.
You'll see the packet at least 24 hours in advance, if not earlier, and you could submit your comments just directly to Allison or
I will be
directly.
in Iceland,
Oh,
so I
Okay.
don't know what I'll see.
Okay, well, you may not be able to then.
all right. And maybe, depending, if we have something ready.
Yeah, if there is something ready earlier, which I'm really good at saying there will be, and then not always necessarily doing that. But yeah, we can try and do that so that you can have some time to review it.
Good, so we'll just, I mean, are people more available to meet in person, or do you prefer the virtual opportunity?
I would rather Zoom because it's going to be a quick meeting. I would rather Zoom because it's a quick meeting.
That
I'm
works.
open to either.
How about you all? Does that work any better or harder for you?
Honestly, it's probably easier on staff if you do Zoom. It's whether the public will attend, so that's your call. I do want to mention, if you want to get this out early, you can't send it out via email. You got to get it on the agenda and get the agenda posted.
Okay.
So if you get it done early, we got to get it uploaded and get the agenda posted, and then you can send the email to the board saying the agenda is posted, please go look. But do
Okay.
not do it via email. That's the sunshine law. It needs to be posted whenever everybody has the same time.
Okay. But if Aaliyah and Barb want to meet to reference work some things, can they meet offline, just the two of them?
The two of them can meet offline, but then they can't call one of you because then you have the daisy chain,
Yep.
right? And so those two meet, they have to stay, the conversation has to stay between those two, and then it waits till it's posted. And I know that that's challenging, but there have been many lawsuits, well, I wouldn't say many, but there's been numerous lawsuits lately due to the sunshine law, and we really want to honor that as a city and make sure that we're being transparent.
Okay.
It seemed to me when we were talking that we had broad agreement on the idea of using CSU, using their criteria, maybe emphasizing the water as a rebate if possible, and even, upgrades to water systems, because that's not something that Manitou can take advantage of otherwise. So, I don't know. I mean, that sounded to me like we had a lot of agreement already.
Okay. So so we'll just note that was something that you
Yeah.
agreed to, and good. Okay. Excellent. So we will have our May HAB meeting as scheduled on the 18th. And again, preference, so just virtual?
And it's at 7 o'clock?
No, that's just my timekeeping up here.
Oh, so it's at regular time?
Regular time. So do we have someone? We've had sort of technical troubles. Will that be something that will be set up for the Zoom? We'll have someone.
Yeah, I'm sending it right now to planning staff, and so we'll have someone, it may be me again, but Hannah Zoom will be great if she's available that night, because she could do it from home, and she
Okay.
might be able to help with that.
Perfect.
And maybe we'll have a senior planner, and then we'll have identified of who will be your staff liaison by then, but I don't know that for sure.
Okay, yeah. And maybe that would be just an easier opportunity for the new planning director to just pop in too and just say hello in the beginning or the end or whatever could work. So, all right, we'll do that. We'll do May 18th Zoom, 6 p.m. And the main topic is the energy efficiency program rollout. And possibly, if I get around to it, maybe an article. Okay? Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right. Any reports? Any reports from City Council Liaison?
Just real briefly, and I'm sure most of this you're already aware of, and it really has nothing to do with HAB, but, we went to progressive parking. Roy has been doing tons and tons and tons of work on how to reduce congestion within the city. So he's implementing various initiatives sequentially, and progressive parking is one of them. So you're going to see changes to parking rates. You also have seen the parking down here, trying to increase the numbers of parking spaces within the city. So that's I think, good news, hopefully. The library has gone back and forth on how we're going to handle that, but as of last night, it will go through the process that's pre-established with it going to the Historic Preservation Commission. Basically, the design that was previously approved by council, but with some anticipated changes that Historic Preservation is going to require. Do I have that right? Yeah. And lastly, the Parks and Recreation events, there's a new policy for that. It's in policy, but it's basically implementing some turf saving measures. So putting 2 weeks between large events. Residents will get priority on reservations for parks and so on. So just some kind of cool stuff going on. But any questions for me? Barbie?
Okay, with the parking and the backing in?
Yeah.
So you can put more cars in if they go backwards, or it's just easier when you pull out? What, I didn't get it.
Oh, no. It's basically, it's parking that way to protect pedestrians and bicyclists. It's much safer. Yeah. So, and I'm intrigued by all the stuff I'm reading about it because it's been tried and true in other cities. And it's getting us, 24 additional parking spots or something? So significant addition to parking. And I can't quite figure out why people think it's harder to back in than to parallel park, but maybe it is.
Because we're old.
Is that what it is? Okay.
We're old, and
Well, and I had a question in regards to the backwards parking too. I mean, in the summertime, there's so many cars on the avenue. Isn't that just going to back up traffic even more? Because now they have to back into the space instead of
There's
just
still a
sliding
center
in.
lane.
What's that?
There's still a center lane that people can pull around. And if they were parallel parking, they take probably even longer to parallel park.
No, I wouldn't parallel park. I mean, just going in head first instead of backing in.
Oh, you think people are going to do that? Yeah, I saw one today as I was driving in. That's going to happen. It's going to be, but majority of people have been following the rules.
No. What I'm saying is when you're stopping traffic so that you can go in backwards.
Right.
Whereas,
No, I understand, but you do that if we left it at parallel parking, you're holding it up just as much when you're parallel parking as when you're backing in.
right, but if it's facing, I'm not talking about parallel parking. If the lanes were the other way, so that you're coming down the street and you just go into the space.
Right, I
Instead of
understand.
stopping traffic, having
But then
to
it's
go
more dangerous for the
backwards.
bikers, people bicycling down Manitoo Avenue, which the city's also trying to increase safety for biking.
Okay,
And then, like she said, maybe,
in that scenario anyways.
yeah.
yeah. Well, either way, yeah.
So yeah, there's a number of reasons for this. Nothing is simple when it comes to parking in this city, I'll tell you that.
I know that.
No silver.
Yeah, that's right. Well, good, that's excellent, thank you.
And there'll be more to follow. Roy is working very hard on additional strategies, so
Good
it's
signage, I'm
exciting.
sure.
Signage is up, it's,
Okay.
yeah, cool things are happening, so thanks.
Thank you. Aaliyah, did you have something, or?
I do have a board member report, but
Okay.
I'll go after Denise.
All right,
whoever
Denise, anything that you haven't shared that you'd like to share? All right, then board member updates.
Whitney Lewis, our prior board member, contacted me, and I'm so sorry I'm facing my back to you in most conversations. It's just so awkward. And about a water program, a program that the city recently implemented, taking advantage of, it was either state or federal funds to be able to support people who are unable to pay their water bills. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, it's the LEAP program, which used to only be for low assistance energy program, but they now have water available. I will tell you, my understanding is it's out. There's no longer any money available, but we are now signed up for it. So when it becomes available again next year or the end of this year, October and November, then we'll be able to, people will be able to go through the program with us now.
So there's no funding available through the program, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it ends, the program I think starts like October and it goes through April or something, and then it ends, and then it starts up again during that time. So at this point, what I found out is we just applied, we got in right before all the money was gone. We were able to get assistance for one resident through that, and then it will start up again towards the end of this year.
Okay, October or so. Yeah, so she brought it up as a potential education opportunity for us, I think, in that there's, people are having problems paying, some people are having problems paying their water bill, and if it's somebody that would be eligible for this funding, which I don't have a lot of information on what would make them eligible, but when that is available again, then it seems like that's something that we could help to educate on.
LEAP is low income, and you are limited in how many times you can receive it also. I forget what it is, but.
Well, LEAP, I think it's LEAP and COPE are different. COPE might be the one that has the limit.
COPE
LEAP,
is,
I think, continues that period, right?
COPE is citizens, I used to be the director of COPE, so
Oh,
I
well,
used to
there we
know
go.
it pretty well, but I can't remember exactly what it stands for. But no, you do not have to be low income to do COPE. It's based on a situation and what may have occurred. LEAP is for low income. You have to fill out paperwork. You have to go through the federal government or the state government. They have to verify everything. And then I can't remember if they send us money or how it works. It's been a while since I was involved in the program. But they have included water in it, which is great because it used to only be energy bill. But we were able to get signed up for
Good.
water.
Yeah, that's great. And I know, I think Michelle maybe had me update a web link, and I don't exactly, is it a HAB web link that had a whole bunch of things? And it did, I think we had LEAP and the CSU energy efficient rebate. But that could be another like education. Maybe people don't even know where that is.
Right.
So,
And LIHWAP, that was the program that Whitney referenced, which is different than LEAP.
say it again.
Is it part of LEAP?
Will you spell it again?
LIHWAP. Another.
Have to Google it. All right. Maybe it is like just the new water version of LEAP, since LEAP was related to specifically energy. That LIHWAP has to do with water. Like, what would that stand for? I don't know. We didn't have time to. Low income household water assistance program. That's what that is. You like that? All right, so that's what that is. Sounds good to me. All right, well, does anyone have anything else? Regina? Barb? All right, well, I call it then adjournment, 7:15 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.